Okay, guys, so here we are back on a wonderful Monday. And if you guys saw that post I made on Twitter a few days ago talking about, the days of Bleach and Katekyo Hitman Reborn, how they both used to run on the same day, a Monday. Yeah, those were the good days. And they both ended in the same year, 2012. One was the anime and the other it's manga, but Mondays are a good day, okay? So here we are with chapter 76 of Katekyo Hitman Reborn. And it continues off with 75. So 75 ended off where Mukuro decided to put a gun to his head and shoot himself, effectively ending himself, right? Or that's what it was made to believe. But of course, we saw clearly Suna was thinking otherwise, because he was like, something is clearly off. Something feels very eerie. And then we saw where Bianchi was starting to twitch in that chapter. So now we get into 76 where Bianchi fully wakes up. But Suna, out of everybody in the room, because Gokudera's there as well as Reborn, of course, Hibari after his short second fight with Mukuro, he's down for the count. He's completely unconscious. He's exhausted, highly injured as well. And only Suna is feeling this feeling like it feels very disturbing. It feels very frightening, and the only link towards that is now the unconscious or supposedly dead Mukuro Rokudo, right? So Bianchi gets up, and the first thing she does is ask Gokudera and Suna to help her, get up. Because remember, she was stabbed in the stomach by a mind control Futa just a few chapters ago, right? So she's still injured. And as soon as Gokudera is trying to help her get up, she proceeds to try and stab him. So he's like, hey, why are you trying to hurt me? And then she's trying to play it off, saying, oh, I don't know what's going on. What's wrong with me? This is where Reborn now go intervene and saying that, this is not usually like you. She proceeds to do it again. And that's when Suna realizes, hold on, this feeling I was feeling that was linked to Mukuro is not actually dead. And then she gets up and you see clearly half of her face. It's her left side. It has a lot of like black markings, cracked skin, and the same eye that Mukuro has. With the kanji symbol, the 6 paths of reincarnation is in her eye as well. Clearly, Bianchi is possessed by Mukuro. And then we have a Reborn. It's constantly saying, hold on, this can't be. It's not possible. I thought this wasn't, like he's very confused, but at the same time he's trying to link where he last saw something like this happen, right? So while this is happening, Gokudera, once they hear that it's possession, Gokudera, I think this is the only arc, despite how serious the situation is, now how much it escalated into this, now dealing with the final boss, aka Mukuro, it still was able to have its very funny comedic moments. We have where Gokudera was trying to chant an exorcism chant, and it's just like, you would have thought very funny, it would have worked, right? And then she's like, drops to the ground. So he goes to try to pick her up, and then she goes again to go and grab the trident handle blade and cut him on the cheek. So now Mukuro transferred from Bianchi to now Gokudera. He's now possessing Gokudera. The difference between the possession and mind control is pretty obvious, but for anybody that don't know, when you're mind control, you still have your will. I mean, think of like a invisible wall in front of you, and you're able to break down that wall. That wall is not very strong. Okay, as long as your will is stronger than the person that's trying to control your mind, then you're able to break it down and gain control of yourself. But in this case and scenario, the possession, which technically Mukuro is not really dead. What he did when he used the gun and he shot himself, think along the lines of the dying will bullet and the lament bullet. The lament bullet was used by Longchamp several chapters ago, where he now goes into a very depressive state. He dies and then he reborns into a very depressive state. Dying will is the opposite of that. You get shot, you die, you're reborn, but you have this strong will that you have from your last thought, and now you just act on it. but it only lasts for 5 minutes. I don't think any time in this series, and this bullet that Mukuro shot himself was called the possession bullet, which was discovered or created by the Estrino family. And the properties is, of course, you shoot whoever, or you shoot yourself, right? Then you gain possession of another person, right? So that person does not have no will of themselves. Okay, you basically are that person. They look like whoever. Like if I shoot myself and I want to say control my sister, I can control her through my will, or my spirit is much stronger than her will, and I gain complete control of her body. And they deemed it so dangerous that they had to stop manufacturing, they had to stop selling the product because it was getting out of hand. So basically the possession bullet is no more, but somehow, some way, Mukuro was able to get his hands on basically illegal and unable to find product. We don't know how he managed to get connections and able to find it. That means somehow, some way, in the underworld of the underworlds, people are still making that bullet. That's just my sense, because they never really went into great detail about the possession bullet, because this is going to be the first and last time we ever see this being used in the entirety of the manga, okay? And this was during the time where Mukuro was like the first villain, so this will be the first and last we ever see something like that. And I kind of wish they did go into more detail, because it does sound very different compared to all the other special bullets that's used in this series, and it does sound like the most dangerous one out of all of them, given the fact that it's no longer in production anymore because of what people have done with the possession bullet. So once Mukuro takes control, he can control several people at a time. And at first the chapter makes it seem like he has to cut someone and probably goes through the wound or something. But later on it's shown, because he did cut Hibari, right? He threw from one body, from Gokudera's to Bianchi's again, and cut Hibari's cheek. But because Hibari is extremely injured due to his fights and everything, his body is not able to use. So the stronger the body, the better the use it is, but the weaker it is, he can't have full control of it. So then he goes on to possess Chikusa and Ken, who obviously, as we know, was beaten by Hibari in the last chapter. So he took possession of them. So like I was saying, it might have been a little confusing to some readers or even anime watchers, who would have thought, okay, he needed the blade in order to cut a person to gain possession of their body, to gain full control over their body. But in this case and scenario, he was nowhere near Chikusa and Ken, but yet he managed to gain control of their bodies. He's controlling his friend, the people he left prison, jailbreaked out of prison with, okay? He's using them as weapons to now attack, kill, and take over Suna's body, because that was the whole point of the possession bullet. He saved that as his triumph card, because what he wants to do, and as he was telling Reborn and Suna, that it's not an objective but a great demand that he has, because the reason he wants to take over Suna, currently right now we have where the knight is still head of the Vongola, but Vongola family overall in the entire mafia world stands at the top. So if he can take control of the soon-to-be next current head of the Vongola, override the ninth, because you can tell leading up to that he wants to take over Suna, then he can do whatever he wants with Suna's body, because again, Suna won't be having any control over himself, because Mukuro is the one possessing it, okay? And I like to backtrack everything, I don't think I mentioned it, but it's never told, and please do remind me of that. I don't think they ever told how long the possession bullet lasts. Like the dying will bullet lasts for 5 minutes, the lament bullet lasts for 5 minutes, but no one ever said, and I don't think it was ever noted, talked about, mentioned, or anything in the manga in this arc at all, of how long the possession bullet lasts for. If it lasts for the 5 minutes, or it lasts for how long the user is able to use it, which now I can see. And if it does last longer than the 5 minutes, then I can see, I mean, it's still a lot of damage that can be done in 5 minutes, but if it lasts longer than that, say in a scenario it does last longer than the 5 minutes time limit, I can see why they basically said get rid of this, because it is too dangerous for anyone. And if it gets into the wrong hands, obviously it did some things that are not reversible at all. And what Mukuro is about to do, if he managed to get his hands on Suna, the repercussions are going to be immeasurable, okay, once he uses Suna, because he's going to be the next head of the Vongola Familia, and basically the top of the food chain of the entire mafia organization, okay? So he's trying to, one, kill Reborn as well, and also kill Suna, and Suna's going to have to fight his friends, who are now possessed, has no control over themselves, on top of trying to fight now Chikusa and Ken. And how is he going to fight them if, you know, my boy don't got no abilities? I think it's the next chapter. It's the next chapter. Yeah, chapter 77. Yeah, we're gonna see something a little, not a little, but big difference, okay? But guys, do tell me in the comment section how you felt like when you first heard of this special ability, possession. What were your thoughts on it? Like, what more could it possibly do? You wish they kept it in the story and probably did more explanation, because it is a cool ability. It is. It's not like mind control where a person still has their own will and can still enforce themselves. This is complete. I lost myself. You completely lost yourself to someone who has a stronger will or a stronger spirit over you, okay? And you're no longer yourself, okay? So please do tell me in the comment section, guys, how do you feel about, like, in terms of how it adapted in the anime? If you are currently watching the anime, or if you already watched the anime, how well did it do in terms of how they adapted this chapter into the anime? I do know the anime does kind of, it fluffed it because it was pretty dark in this chapter. It was pretty dark in the other chapters, but up until this point, okay? The links are in the description box, so you guys can go check that out. And I'm Kimmy-chan of Anime Legends, and I will see you guys later. Bye!